Pollution and its classification. Pollutants, definition and classification of pollutants. In order to meet the basic needs of the increased population, the present society has undertaken a series of steps like rapid industrialization, unplanned urbanization, deforestation, overexploitation of natural resources, etc. These processes are releasing a variety of extraneous materials and energy into the environment in a continuous and uninterrupted manner. Such disposal, which becomes greater than the threshold concentration of a particular substance, renders the environment partially or fully unfavorable for the living world. This is referred to as environmental pollution. The term pollution is derived from the Latin word pollutio, which means to defile or make dirty. The term pollution has been defined in various ways by various scientists and organizations. According to U.S. President's Science Advisory Committee, 1966, environmental pollution may be defined as the unfavorable alterations of our surroundings wholly or largely as a byproduct of man's action through direct or indirect effects of change in energy pattern, radiation levels, chemical and physical constitution and abundance of the organisms. According to the National Academy of Science, USA, 1966, pollution may be defined as an undesirable change in physical, chemical and biological characteristics of water, air and soil that may harmfully affect human, animal and plant life, industrial progress, living conditions and cultural assets. According to Odom, 1971, pollution is an undesirable change in physical, chemical and biological characteristics of air, water, and soil that may harmfully affect life or create a potential health hazard for living organisms. According to Edward, 1972, pollution is the release of harmful substances or energy into the environment by man in quantities that damage health and resources. According to Thiesman, 1975, pollution is the accumulation of substances in the environment or at rates of flow which exceed the capacity of the ecosystem to either neutralize or disperse them to harmful levels. According to the National Environmental Research Council, 1976, pollution is viewed as the release of substances and energy as waste products of human activities which result in harmful changes within the natural environment. According to QDESIA, pollution is defined as the addition of extraneous materials, inorganic, organic, biological or radiological, to water, air or land which adversely affects the natural quality of the environment. Pollution is thus a direct or indirect change in any component of the environment which is harmful to live organisms and in particular undesirable for man. Sometimes, instead of pollution, another term contamination is used by some scientists. Contamination means the presence of harmful substances or organisms in air, water, or soil that may cause diseases or discomfort to the human being. However, the polluted materials need not necessarily be contaminated. Pollutants. A pollutant may be defined as anything, living or non-living, or any physical agent, e.g. heat, sound, etc., that in its excess makes any part of the environment undesirable. The polluted water is undesirable for drinking, recreation, and visual enjoyment or as a habitat for the aquatic life normal to it. The polluted air is undesirable for breathing, for the condition of buildings and monuments exposed to it, or for animal and plant life. The polluted soil and land are undesirable for raising food and fodder for animals or for recreation and aesthetic enjoyments. In other words, a pollutant may be defined as a constituent in the wrong amount at the wrong place or at the wrong time. Commonly speaking, the term pollutant is applied to non-living, man-made substances and other nuisances, and it refers to their being in excess in a particular location. For example, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are extensively used in agriculture to increase crop yield, but sometimes, these in higher concentration cause pollution in lakes and rivers, promoting algal growth. This adverse effect of pollution is more severe when the pollutants are man-made rather than natural preparation. In short, the unserviceable or residues of things that humanity manufactures, uses, and throws away, can also be regarded as pollutants. Types of pollutants. In terms of the ecosystem, the pollutants can be classified into two basic groups. A. Non-degradable pollutants. These are not broken down by natural processes like the action of microbes. Most of these mutants get accumulated in the environment and also get biologically magnified as these move along the food chains in an undercomposed state. These may also react with other compounds in the environment to produce toxins. These can be further subdivided into two more classes. I. Waste. Example, glass, plastic, phenolic, aluminum cans, etc. 2. Poisons. Example, radioactive substances, pesticides, smog gases, heavy metals like mercury, lead and their salts. B. Degradable pollutants or biodegradable pollutants, Odom 1971. These are natural organic substances that can be decomposed, removed or consumed and thus, reduced to acceptable levels either by natural processes like biological or microbial action or by some engineered systems, like sewage treatment plants. The degradable pollutants can be further subdivided into two categories. I. Rapidly degradable or non-persistent pollutant. The degradation of these pollutants is a very faster process. For example, the decomposition of sewage and wastes of animals and plants is a faster process. Domestic sewage can be rapidly decomposed by natural processes. However, the problems become complicated when the input into the environment exceeded the decomposition or dispersal capacity. 2. Slowly degradable or persistent pollutant. The degradation of these pollutants is a very slow process. It seems as if the number of pollutants remains unchanged with time. For example, degradation of synthetic compounds and radioactive elements like iodine-137, strontium-90, or plutonium-239 takes a longer period of time. Agents causing pollution. Depending upon the nature of the pollutants and their interaction with the environmental process, the pollution caused by different agents can be classified into the following categories. A. Pollution caused by solid wastes. B. Pollution caused by liquid wastes. C. Pollution caused by gaseous wastes. D. Pollution caused by wastes without weights. A. Pollution caused by solid wastes. Solid wastes includes the pollutants like garbage, rubbish, ashes, large wastes formed due to demolition and construction processes, dead animals wastes, agricultural wastes etc. From the above examples, it is clear that the solid wastes may be domestic and industrial in nature. B. Pollution caused by liquid wastes. The oxygen cycle is nicely operated in aquatic systems maintaining ecological balance. That is, the dissolved oxygen is used by aquatic living organisms for their respiration and in return, these liberate carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide molecules are again used by green plants and algae in the process of photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, oxygen is again liberated to water which remains in a dissolved state. However, if some organic matter, food for bacteria, enters the watercourse, then bacteria oxidize these materials consuming oxygen from water. At such a condition, if the process of reoxygenation is slower than the process of deoxygenation, then the river will be devoid of life-sustaining dissolved oxygen and aquatic living organisms will die. The most important source of organic pollutants is sewage, which contains fecal matter, urine, kitchen washing, and oil washings. Sewage also contains a large number of pathogenic and harmless bacteria. The strength of organic waste material of sewage is measured in terms of biological oxygen demand, B.O.D. The value is expressed in terms of mg of oxygen per liter of waste for 5 days at 20 C. If the volume of BOD is below 1,500 mg per liter, the sewage is termed as weak waste. If it is 4,000 mg per liter, it is medium, and above this value, it is termed as strong waste. However, if liquid industrial wastes containing acids, alkalis, and poisonous substances enter the river, the aquatic life is affected and the self-purification system of water is impaired. Pesticides and herbicides which enter water may kill some organisms or accumulate in fish which, when consumed by man, pass on the chemicals giving rise to cumulative poisoning. C. Pollution caused by gaseous wastes. The gaseous wastes include carbon monoxide, CO, sulfur dioxide, SO2, nitrogen dioxide, NO2, ozone, O3, and smog gases, composed of a complex mixture of photochemical oxidation products of hydrocarbons. These gases are more abundant in the atmosphere of industrial cities. D. Pollution from waste without weight. This type of pollution is also known as pollution by energy waste. Wastes without weight may be of the following types. I. Radioactive. 2. Heat. 3. Noise. I. Radioactive substance. Despite all possible precautions in the functioning and maintenance of nuclear reactors, it is seen that a minute quantity of radioactive waste escapes out into the environment. From the mining operation of the uranium to the use and final disposal of wastes from the reactor, radioactive materials continuously escape into the environment. Besides, a lot of radioactive wastes enter the environment during nuclear tests. 2. Heat. A large quantity of waste heat energy is dissipated into the environment by the way of hot liquid streams or hot gases released by industries and automobiles. 3. Noise. The unwanted sound is known as noise. These sources of noise for the general public are the machines in the industry, traffic noise, indiscriminate use of the transistor, radios, public address systems, etc. Classification of pollution. Pollution can be classified according to the environment, air, water, and soil, in which it occurs or according to the type of pollutant, lead, mercury, carbon dioxide, solid waste, noise, biocide, heat, etc., by which pollution is caused. Sometimes, pollution is made to classify into two broad categories. 1. Natural pollution. It originates from the natural process. 2. Artificial pollution. It originates artificially from the interaction in between humanity and the environment. Different types of pollution are as follows. 1. Air pollution. 2. Water pollution. 3. Terrestrial pollution. 4. Noise pollution. 5. Radiation pollution. 6. Thermal pollution. 7. Industrial pollution. General effects of pollution. Each and every component of the environment is influenced by pollution in a number of ways. The impact of pollution on some biotic and abiotic components may be discussed as below. I. Effect on plants. Photochemical smog, sulfur dioxide, obtained from copper and lead smelter, and hydrogen fluoride, obtained from fertilizer manufacturing and aluminum reduction, cause injury to the plants and thereby reduce their growth and vegetation. In some cases, even when pollution levels have been not high enough to produce noticeable injury, the retardation in growth rate may occur. On the whole, the pollutants, air or water pollutant or radiation, bring about complex changes in the plant ecosystem, having effects on one species and leading to effects on the other. 2. Effect on animals. Air pollutants cause eye and respiratory irritation in animals as well as in human beings. Water pollutants can endanger aquatic life, killing millions of fish and other animals every year. Sewage, toxic chemicals, and diseased animals can make water unfit for use by farm animals. There are some types of pollution known to have adverse effects on animals at levels that do not appear to affect human health. Thermal pollution in rivers and lakes can kill fish. Pesticide levels can reduce reproduction rates through mechanisms like interference in calcium metabolism. 3. Effect on human beings. Human beings are probably the most concerned about the direct and indirect effects of pollution. Sufficiently high levels of pollutants are toxic or even lethal to every human being, although there is a wide range of sensitivities among the human population. For example, tartaremetic, antimony potassium tartrate, can be lethal at doses as low as 130 mg, but some persons have survived doses as high as 15 gm. On the other hand, sufficiently low doses appear to have no toxicological effects. It is seen that many diseases are waterborne and can be checked through the purification of municipal and individual water supplies. Still, the drinking water of most of the world's population is considerably less safe than that of the developed nations due to inadequacies in public health programs. Definition: any substance present in the environment in harmful concentration, which adversely alters the environment by damaging the growth rate of a species and by interfering with the food chains, is toxic and affects the health, comfort and property, etc., is considered as a pollutant. Smoke from industries and automobiles, domestic and commercial sewage, radioactive substances from nuclear plants, and discarded household articles, tins, bottles, broken crockery, etc., come under the category of pollutants. Classification of pollutants. The classification of pollutants is done from different points of view. 1. Depending upon their existence in nature, pollutants are of two types, namely quantitative and qualitative pollutants. Quantitative pollutants. These are those substances normally occurring in the environment, which acquire the status of a pollutant when their concentration gets increased due to the unmindful activities of man. For example, carbon dioxide, if present in the atmosphere in a concentration greater than normal due to automobiles and industries, causes measurable effects on humans, animals, plants or property, then it is classified as a quantitative pollutant. B. Qualitative pollutant. These are those substances that do not normally occur in nature but are added by man, for example, insecticides. 1. Depending upon the form in which they persist after being released into the environment, the pollutants are categorized into two types, namely primary and secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants. These are those which are emitted directly from the source and persist in the form in which they were added to the environment. Typical examples of pollutants included under this category are ash, smoke, fumes, dust, nitric oxide, sulfur dioxide, hydrocarbons, etc. B. Secondary pollutants. These are those which are formed from the primary pollutants by chemical interaction with some constituent present in the atmosphere. Examples are sulfur trioxide, nitrogen dioxide, aldehydes, ketones, ozone, etc. Nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbons are two primary pollutants released from automobiles, but in the presence of sunlight, they react to form peroxyacyl nitrate, PN, and ozone, two secondary pollutants that are far more toxic than the primary pollutants from which they are derived. This phenomenon of increased toxicity by chemical interaction among the pollutants is known as synergism.